The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University. Hello and welcome to the Art Beat this weekend on KLZK 105.7 FM. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Peter Martins, and I have the pleasure of being here this weekend with Venhuizen, who is an associate professor of art in the ceramics area at Texas Tech. Hi, Von.
Hello. Thank you for letting me be part of the show.
Right. Well, thanks for being here. I don't know that I think you are our first kind of 3D artist maybe that we've talked to on the show. So interested in finding out all sorts of things, facilities and whatever that's going on in there. But first, tell us about yourself. You've been at Tech for, I think, a little longer than I have, a little over 20 years.
22, almost 23 years now.
Okay. And so you've been practicing your craft and teaching and creating work here, but it hasn't been in the same spaces that entire time. Is that right?
That's correct. We originally, when I was hired in 2002, we were at the School of Art, and when you walk over the bridge of the main entry, the whole kiln yard was down below that, and all the mixing and stuff was outside. And then we have moved over to the 3D Art Annex over on Main Street.
Which is kind of across from the leisure pool area?
Yeah,
or
the rec center, leisure pool.
Okay.
Yeah, so we always tell students go over there and have some fun, then come back and get to work.
Right. So you're over there kind of next to kinesiology and some greenhouses, and it's quite a variety of disciplines, I guess, over on that avenue. I always looked at that outdoor kiln yard at the current School of Art, and it seems so very romantic, but I'm sure when you were working in it and it was dusty or freezing or whatever out, it was not actually very fun.
It's always a little interesting when the weather's, less than ideal, either snow, rain, hot kind of thing. Right. But, we have a facility now that's just top notch, and that was part of the idea when we got on board here, getting the rolling plans and everything for the new annex. They had the building was an existing building. It used to be the the food warehouse building or something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All the food on campus was made over there and stored there, and then distributed out. And then it went somewhere else. I don't know exactly where. But it was an empty building that they needed to rehab, so it seemed like a perfect spot for all of us dirty 3D folks, the people that create a lot of dirt to go over and be part of.
Right, and I suppose that's one of the reasons that it was originally outside, because there's fire and dirt and maybe some gases.
They got a lot of fire, and then just the whole ventilation issue, right? The idea of the annex when I was hired was really the impetus was safety. The university was all about safety, and that's where the annex was designed. Okay. So safety was first and foremost, and in addition to that, we're teaching our students how to be safe when they leave. So it's not just that we're having a safe spot for them to work in, but we're showing them how to work in this facility and keep it a safe place to be.
Yeah, sure, because all the safety features in the world can be not used correctly, and you can still get yourself into trouble.
Exactly.
Okay. So who's in that building? You're in ceramics. Who are your kind of next door neighbors in that building?
All right. So ceramics is in the building. You got jewelry, metal design, and sculpture, and then we also have the 3D Foundations classroom is in that building, and then also we have our wood shop, which is now known as the art shop, because we do more than just woodworking in that facility.
Some 3D printing?
Got a lot of 3D printing. We got CNC router now, and then we have multiple 3D printers. I can't even tell you. We have PLA. We have all kinds of other ones. Then 2 laser cutters, I believe. So students get access to those when they're in the classes. Okay,
so it's not just the band saws and planers of our wood shop days in high school.
We've moved on from nails and glue to a lot more technology in the place.
So speaking of, we were talking about 3D printers, and I understand that those have developed to the extent that you can actually kind of 3D print some cementatious or ceramic sort of products.
Yeah, we have in ceramics we have three 3D printers that print clay, which if you really wanted to, the printers, 2 of the printers we have, if you buy all the proper equipment, you can actually print houses with it. And they do a lot of like the sustainability kinds of things with that.
Okay.
Now, we don't have all that equipment. We're still learning about all this stuff and what it can do. But, 3D printers, when I first heard of them, I was like, I don't really buy that right yet. But then it got a little further along. I said, nah, I don't need any more Happy Meal toys, right? So I was like, what else can we do?
Because that's all 3D printers could do at
the time,
right?
right? You know, so it's like you had all this free source stuff, and people are like, oh, I'm printing out another little Yoda figure or something like that, right? So, which, if you start at that point, that's great, but it's not the end point. So now that with ceramics, we're taking it and exploding it up to do, I shouldn't say exploding. We're doing a lot of different things with it now instead of just letting it print it and be that thing.
Okay, interesting. So as a, I don't know, someone who has to think about it and gets to teach about the philosophy of the fine arts, are there some new issues we're grappling with where, you know, what's the line between hitting print on something, creating art? What do you guys have to mess with that?
Oh yeah. I mean, that you're really falling into that more of the design aspect, you know, with the printing thing. What I've found out, I'm just good enough to be dangerous with it. So I can print stuff out. I can design some things now, and we're using different, you know, types of software. And that was a class I taught on digital ceramics, is all the different softwares we could have. You know, I had students source different things. We've used Grasshopper, Rhino, Cinema 4D, Fusion 3D, lots of different things. And the nice thing is, like, this is across all platforms. So if you want to like design it for clay, that's great. If you want to design it for plastics, same thing, right? Different material.
Same software.
Yeah, same ideas. So now going down that road, you start learning more about the softwares. So you start thinking deeper into this. I've gone head first into the shallow end of Rhino. So I'm starting to learn how to code again, which I left way behind in my undergraduate days.
Wow.
So I'm going down that road thinking, what am I doing? But now it's really interesting to see how you can make the printer work for you versus just like print and there it is.
So it's in a way it's another big tool, but it's another tool.
It's a big tool
in your tool belt, so
and
to speak.
The nice thing is too, you know, we've been designing our own clays to print with it instead of just buying the one they want you to do it. We're a research institution, right? So we are researching what it takes to have a clay body come out of this great big clay squeezer and function correctly.
So different formulations of the clay itself.
Yeah, there's a lot of chemistry and science involved in it, which is
interesting.
Something a lot of people don't think about with all that.
Well, that's true, and I think the tech side and the science side, as you're saying, has always been in a lot of the fine arts that we do, right? The production side of it, especially, and it's maybe a little more obvious or overt now with these sorts of technologies. Wow, fascinating. So, have you had any cataclysmic failures or explosions or anything in your area?
We don't talk about that too much.
Okay.
But,
we won't put that on the radio.
But you do have issues here and there, right? So what we're learning about is how clay actually works with these printers, but also then how it fires. And we haven't had any major problems lately. We have had a few issues with some kilns, but that's mainly user error, and that's part of the learning aspect of this whole thing. If the students leave our program in ceramics and they don't know how to use our kilns, we haven't done our job.
Sure.
We need them to know how to go out, especially people that are teaching, right? Because all the schools out there have a clay program, especially in Lubbock. LISD's done a great job of implementing ceramics into their curriculum. So I make sure that my student teachers know how to function an electric kiln, which, all intents and purposes, is a great big toaster.
Okay.
So it just gets a lot hotter. But we teach them how to use that in that facility and be safe about it again. And then if repair is needed, we show them who has to come out and fix that kind of stuff.
And I imagine graduate going out into a school, there's all manner of types of this sort of equipment that they'll run into. So you probably try to give them a broad view of what's out there.
Right. Yeah. We do have, as it is, a technology-based thing right now, right? We do have all the latest, not all the latest and greatest, but a lot of great materials and tools to work with. Not everybody has that when they walk out of the university.
Sure.
So what we do is we do try to teach them how to be resourceful and where to look for said items, say like a potter's wheel or a used kiln, or where do you find somebody to come help you hook up the kiln. And it doesn't seem like something you'd learn in a ceramics class, but we do teach them how to, where do you find an electrician? Where do you get a plumber? How do you have to deal with this stuff? How much is your house rated with enough power to run a kiln, kind of thing? So there's a lot of things. And then, a kiln gets hot, so you have to have a space that's safe for it. And that's not everybody's basement. So
don't try this at home.
Don't try it at home all the time, but you can do it there's been more than one person set up a kiln in their garage and vent it properly, and everything's fine.
And it works.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thinking of the products then of your program, we were not too long ago through the October First Friday, which is, I know, a big place that a lot of the visual arts disciplines exhibit and whatever their materials. What's a typical ceramics profile look like at those First Fridays, and anything coming up that we might be interested in?
Oh, a typical one. There's nothing typical about ceramics. We just had the Clay Club, the Texas Tech Clay Club. They had a sale at the First Friday at the Underwood Center, and we're really proud of all of our graduates that have gotten out. Dexter Woods runs the Luca Clay Studio.
Okay.
He's one of our former BFA students.
Oh,
he
great.
went on to do good things and came back. And then we have other students that work there as well. And the Clay Club had a sale and did fairly well for themselves, and the club helps fund these students to go to our national conference in March.
Okay. And that's the building right behind kind of the main gallery.
Correct.
Is that called? I can't remember what
It's called the Clay Studio.
Oh, it's called okay.
Yep.
I've actually gone to two pottery workshops there and learned how difficult it actually is to make something that either looks good or is functional or ideally both.
Yeah.
And I don't think I achieved any of those goals in my own.
It takes a minute.
Yeah. But it's kind of a zen. I remember it kind of being a zen experience where you just have to, I don't know.
Like my old basketball coach said, practice makes permanent. You just got to practice.
Gotcha.
And you always look for perfection, but it's a little ways away.
Interesting. Okay, so we can see some of those wares, and actually they have sales at some of the First Fridays. I think December, right? They're going to have
I think they're going to do another one in December.
Okay.
Then we're planning an on-campus one in the spring. I can't remember exactly the date, but we're planning one in the spring as well.
Well, it's always interesting, and my cupboard at home is filled with odds and ends, mostly in the mug category.
Correct. Thank you for supporting us.
I've picked up over the years because we love them. They're so unique. There's never two of them the same, and they do their job. Yeah.
Yep.
So, what's your own practice focused on in ceramics? I mean, people can see some of your pieces at public places around town.
Right. Yeah. I do pottery. I'm kind of a closet potter. I do it on the side kind of thing. I'm more sculptural.
Okay.
I've been now dabbling in the 3D printing world with it, so I'm putting more 3D printing into it and creating these sculptures. And the last pieces were at an exhibition in Iowa, which was a solo exhibition. I have stuff out right now at other places, but the latest, greatest thing was in Iowa at a solo exhibition. There was a lot of 3D printed stuff. There was wood, there was drawing. It was a larger installation, I don't just do clay. It's a little bit of everything.
Okay, so there's a blurry line between sculpture and ceramics nowadays, or has there always been?
A little bit of always, yeah. I mean, you use clay in everything. You use sculpture in different ways. It's what you make of it. It's art.
And that gets back to the same kind of the design principles you were talking about before that come to the fore with some of this new technology. In that respect, hasn't changed that much from.
Not really. I mean, you'll still have your feet on the ground and trying to forge through, get things going.
Okay. So if I'm a non-major student, for instance, at Tech,
come on in.
How can I access this sort of?
We have no prerequisites on our beginning ceramics classes. So we have every semester we have 4 beginning ceramics, and we're going to have 1 in the summer. So you come in, you learn the beginning basics of ceramics. We teach it where there's a third of the semester is hand building, where you use your hands at the end of your arms to make stuff, and then we sit you down at the potter's wheel for the last 2/3 of the semester, and you learn how to make wares on the potter's wheel.
Okay. So the original or the initial part does not involve the wheel. It's like hand constructing.
Right. We go back to the beginning of time. Ceramics is one of the oldest things around, right? So what we know from a lot of cultures comes from the ceramics that has been found.
Sure.
You could think of the Qin Dynasty warriors, the terracotta warriors, which are amazing, right? You can just go to New Mexico and look at the Mimbres pottery or any Native American pottery and start learning about different areas and what it was about that area that made them stay there or move on. And the ceramics kind of bring that information as a historical context.
And allow them to make the sorts of things that they made in that particular.
And they didn't have electricity back in the old days, right? So they'd be along a riverbank usually where there was some clay they could use, and then they would start forming functional objects that they needed for everyday life. And then they started using them to tell stories.
Yeah, interesting. Wow. Well, we could probably talk for another good bit of time about that, but I'm sorry to say we have to say goodbye for this installment of the Art Beat. So I want to thank Von Venhuizen from the School of Art for being here and talking with us today and giving us the perspective of 3D and ceramics at Texas Tech.
I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me ramble.
Great to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University.